Hey, hey, it's Zenos here. So I really had a rough day yesterday, and it was I had a rough day yesterday, but I don't know why. That was the reason. So I was on YouTube, and I just finished the last season of Lucifer. Uh, and then I just saw Esotero video about what Archangel wants to talk to you, and it was Gabriel and Michael's pal that I was drawn to. So I had been working with Archangel Michael for some time, even before I had came back home, and then I had uh I got I got no, I didn't get I saw a video that was just meditation when it comes to talking to Archangel Michael. So I just laid down and listened to it. It's been a long time since I actually meditated and just sat in a still moment. So the entire conversation that I had was about forgiving, because I knew how to forgive, but at the same time I don't. And it mostly has to do with my mental issue with DID, my disorder with DID. And we really had just talked about forgiving, because some parts of me, they can't forgive what people have done to us. We can't forgive what has happened and how we put ourselves in that situation. But the truth is, we didn't put ourselves in that situation. We were just trying to see the best in people. And in return, they just gave us nothing but grief and tried to guilt us into just staying in whatever they were trying to put us in. And I cried for the first time in a while. And it wasn't like crying just because a sweet moment in a show. It was crying because I didn't know how to let go. And I was holding in so much and trying to avoid it by keeping my mind busy. And I cried because I was just like, how can I forgive these people when they have done me so much wrong? And every time I tried to get close to someone, put my heart on my sleeve, they always just end up leaving. So it made me think, like, was it just me? Was I just too much? In reality, it wasn't me. I put my heart on my sleeve for people who didn't deserve it. Even when it came to my previous relationship and friendships, they didn't deserve it, because they decided to take that and to misuse it. They decided to they decided to not move with me, but to move against me. And sure, I can say that I'm not perfect. I never even once said that I was perfect, that I was, you know, never once said that I didn't have issues, because I know everybody goes through issues, even me. And I still am going through issues. But that entire conversation made me think that I don't owe people anything. I don't owe them. I don't have to give them any power of me because I am hurt. I'm hurt because they decided with their own decisions, and instead of blaming it on the devil, they decided. It wasn't the devil made me do it. Their own decisions led them to do that because they were too prideful, too egotistical, because they didn't want to listen, because they didn't want to see me for me. They can't blame it on the devil. Only thing they can blame it on is themselves. These, every time April comes around, it always seems like something is being brought to the forefront. April of 2021, I got attacked by an incubus and a succubus. And around that time, I was in a relationship with someone who didn't even love me, but only used me for pleasure's sake. And you know, I decided that was okay. But in reality, it wasn't okay. It really wasn't. Because I have issues when it comes to sexual nature. Because I have been abused in my past, both mentally, physically, and emotionally, by many people. And even then, I have done some manipulations when I was younger. But even then, I decided to make amends before I entered that relationship with my ex. Because I spent 2 years just thinking about what I could have done differently, why I acted that way. And I realized it was just because I was holding on to the past hurts. It was because I brought into my relationship what I have had scars from. So I did apologize before I entered my previous relationship. And I told them that out of everyone I've ever met, they were the only one who actually understood me, who actually saw the light in me that I felt like I didn't have. And it was a curious thing because they said I didn't need permission to move on, which I knew I didn't need, but I decided against getting into a relationship because I didn't feel ready, because I still had past issues that I needed to conquer. And when I got into a relationship with my ex, I really thought he was the one. I really thought that if I did what I done, wear my heart on my sleeve, despite all the issues that he had, I really thought, something good would come of it. But no. I broke up with him in November, another month that also has a tendency to put things forefront for me. And December. It was around that time that I had to go within. And around that time when I was in Texas, surrounded by family that I only hoped would have been there for me, they weren't. They were only deciding what I was doing wrong and not actually listening when I tried to tell them about being selectively mute. When I tried to tell them about the disorders that I had, because they were so focused on the kid version of me, the little boy that didn't have a say in whatever he wanted to do with his own body, with his own mind, with his own clothing choice. The little boy that was hurt from the start. They always told me, what happened to that little girl? That little girl was a boy who had no choice in the matter when it came to his body, to what he wanted to do. That little girl was never there. That little girl was a facade that they created. And I don't blame them because of the society we live in now. Because society thinks that whatever genital you have, that's the gender that you are supposed to be. I don't blame them because they're ignorant. I blame them because they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to change and evolve from the views that were forced on them into slavery and generations on. I didn't blame them because I knew who I was. And for a split second, they almost had me. They almost had me. Thinking that I was mistaken for what I wanted. In April, I had finally started HRT. 2 years ago, not even 2 years ago, I've been wanting this change since I was so young. But I refused to believe myself when I was going through these changes through dysphoria. And the fact that I realized, even after that first shot, I was so happy. It's nearly going to be 2 months since I have been on HRT. And sometimes I do feel like I have failed. But it wasn't that I failed. It was just that I allowed my failures to define me. I allowed people who didn't believe in me define me. I allowed my own hatred, my own guilt, my own conscience of having to be a person that accepts everyone for who they are instead of not allowing people who hurt me back into my life define me. I can forgive, but I don't have to forget how they made me feel, how they betrayed me, how they decided on being horrible beings because of one simple fact that I wasn't like them, that I wasn't a girl, that I wasn't designed how God made me. God doesn't care if you're fucking trans. He doesn't care if you're gay. The only people that care are the people who made that up, who decided that being lesbian, being gay, being trans wasn't allowed. And if they actually looked into history, when Christianity started, it was an attack when Greeks were absolutely at their best at being who they were. And I believe, I forgot exactly what it was, but it was one of the Roman kings or something along that line. Whoever made Christianity decide that it wasn't right. Because in history, that has always been something that was okay until the world decided that it wasn't. And it wasn't even the world, it was the people, the majority, who decided that it wasn't okay. And at this point, I have been over everything that has happened because I know that I deserve better than what I have been given. I know that I deserve better than what was placed on me, the labels that were placed on me by people who didn't even try to understand me. But I understood them because I have been like that before. I understood them because I was self-hating. At first, I was like, being how I wasn't right. Even in the trans community, there's people divided and arguing over whether neopronouns exist and whether dysphoria and incongruence are the same or different. Arguing whether a trans man or a trans woman can display masculinity or femininity, androgyny. Whether non-binary people can be lesbians and gay. And honestly, at the time, I didn't understand it. But at the same time, I don't have to understand it because those are not the labels that are for me. That's not who I am. It's not for me to understand because every gender, every sexuality, even every sex chromosome is different. It's not going to be the same. And there's enough science to prove it. It's not for me to understand how the community works, how every individual who has different identities work, because those are not my identities. I don't care enough because they are not who I'm supposed to be. It's who they're supposed to be. They're supposed to care, but it's not who I am. And even then, start thinking, why do people care so much what another person identifies as? When really it comes from people who didn't have a choice in the matter to be who they were. So they decide to tell somebody else what they can and can't do. This life is supposed to be about finding who you are, who your soulmates are, the lessons that you are supposed to make. They're not supposed to be about anybody else but yourself and what you want to do. So yeah, I have been hurt. And when it comes to the people who hurt me, I forgive them. But I'm not allowing them back into my circle, into my heart, until I know that they have changed. I don't even care about the apologies anymore. What I care about is people owning up to their fucking mistakes and not pushing it aside and saying, oh, it was this excuse, it was that excuse. Own up to it. Because at the end of the day, nothing's gonna save you from your guilt but yourself. So with that being said, sorry for the rant. With that being said, I'm not gonna leave without pulling a few cards for you. So the first card we got is spread love. Nurture yourself and spread love to those around you who support you with everything that you do. And don't be afraid to put your heart out there, because there are people that are there for your heart, and there are people that are just there to distract you. You got yoga, evil eye protection, spiritual jail, and fake spiritualist. So however you feel the need to relax, yoga, meditation, journaling, music, resting, that is something that will help you in the long run. And you're very much protected. And the people who are against you, they're just in spiritual jail. Because every effort they try to put against going against you is futile. And they're going to be begging, praying for it all to go away. But they have sown the seeds. They have done the deeds. So whatever happens, that's just karma on them. With that being said, if you are still in communication with people that you know are not the best for you, you're just taking the piss. You're taking on their karma when you should be letting them go. And sex addict, maybe that's you, maybe that's another party. And it's time for you to get information, to form your own plan, your own path that you feel is for you. Open the door. Open the door. Don't stay in the closet. Open the door to what you feel is important for you. You got womb, child, try again, self-deprecation. Dysregulation and air sign. So whatever it is that you were working on, don't give up. Just try again. And with child here, it may be a physical child, but it could also mean your inner child. It's probably in dysregulation. Try again to heal yourself and to not let your self-sabotaging or self-deprecation get in the way. You're regenerating. And with the air sign, let me see. Wants versus needs. And High Priestess. So, you may be an air sign, or there may be an air sign around you, but Tower moment and Pride is very much significant. You have to listen to your intuition when it comes to people, when it comes to your wants and needs. If you want something, ask yourself, why do you need it? Because sometimes wants and needs can coexist into the same it can coexist into the same thing. With that being said, this is the end of this video and sort of reading. So thank you so much for watching. Keep it juicy in the koozie, and peace the fuck out.